Who are you?
I'm Nighthawk.
Nighthawk, the Batman replica no one talks about. Marvel and DC have been worldwide kings when it comes to the world of comics, in print or on screen. And sometimes, just sometimes, they seem to nod at each other with little moves here and there. That is exactly what happened with Marvel's making of the Nighthawk. He was supposed to have a short stint as the Batman of the Marvel Universe, but ended up being the center of several significant storylines of Marvel.
Falcon, look out!
If all the alternate universes of Marvel's multiverse are taken into account, there have been quite a few modifications to Nighthawk's character throughout the timeline. This has, in turn, given us Nighthawk in a variety of forms. The most recent one, of course, appeared in issue number 55 of the Avengers series in April 2022. The anti-hero has had such a long-winded history and character arc though. It has left readers wondering which incarnation they are now supposed to consider and what on Earth or multiverse happened to the rest of them. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Nighthawk, who is he? Known as one of the strangest, most whimsical characters that have graced the Marvel Universe, Nighthawk was originally a Sal Buscema and Roy Thomas creation from October 1969. Debuting in issue 69 of Avengers, it was just a few issues later that we met another variety of him. The new version, on print, was a Squadron Supreme member, one of the most talented of his kind. He had come from an alternate reality altogether, a point that shall help us explain things later, so try and keep it in mind. These two individuals were the main avatars and kept on resurfacing in tales as years went by. He also came to play a major part in the well-known and appreciated Civil War storyline as well as getting his own miniseries, Nighthawk, in 1998. The 1998 tale was a work by Bob Wiacek, Jim Krueger, and Richard Case revolving around Mephisto's trickery of Nighthawk. Nighthawk ended up killing Daredevil and somehow reached Hell along with him. But the ever-so-brave hero fought against all the demons of Hell and revived Daredevil too. The duo then escaped the place together. Another version of Nighthawk was seen in print when issue number 2 of Supreme Power was released. The foundational character was an African-American who went by the name of Kyle Richmond. Interestingly enough, the speculation that Nighthawk's character is eerily similar to Batman becomes even more reasonably prominent once we learn of the Squadron Sinister. We shall talk more about them as the massively overlapping plot of Nighthawk's own story unfolds. It is noteworthy herein that Roy Thomas had a long-standing desire to will into existence a crossover between the two indisputable kings of the comic world. The intention is made further abundantly clear with Nighthawk's heroic background that includes encounters with Green Goblin, Venom, and even Miles Morales as a pupil of sorts, at one point. In turn, all of these are based on Spider-Man from Earth-616 exploits. In his first appearance ever, Kyle Richmond, aka Nighthawk, was transformed and put together with a team of supervillains that Grandmaster Ndui Gast had created called the Squadron Sinister. He made them into what clearly felt like the evil counterparts of the members of DC's Justice League, the Wizard being Flash's equivalent, and Dr. Spectrum filling in for Green Lantern. It was crystal clear that his creation of Hyperion from non-living extra-dimensional matter thrust with false, manufactured memories and consciousness was to make him Superman's equivalent. Kyle became Nighthawk and thus could only be Batman's Marvel counterpart. Lo and behold, we had Squadron Sinister ready to wreck and cause trouble. The Sinisters did lose miserably to the Avengers, and the Grandmaster relieved them of his mentorship, effectively deserting them altogether. Nighthawk left his life of crime after the incident, and the others ventured solo too, except Hyperion, who went up against Thor and was defeated. His punishment was to float through the whole cosmos in a small glass orb. However, their reign of terror over the Marvel Universe was only just beginning. Nebulon, an alien who had been searching for other worlds to destroy and harvest for minerals, was responsible for uniting the lot of Sinisters post their loss and desertion. Hyperion met Nebulon in space and informed Nebulon of planet Earth, one that could potentially serve his purpose. Hyperion led him right up to the planet with a plan ready to be put into action. Nebulon had intentions to melt the polar ice caps and destroy the planet by way of floods. Nighthawk, however, was not up for it. His conscience was awakened by the realization that innocent people would lose their lives for one's individual's selfish and pure evil motivations. So he went behind their backs and established contact with the Defenders, eventually helping them outwit Nebulon and earning himself a place with the team. Regular appearances of Nighthawk followed, as he then became a part of the widespread MU. Nighthawk went on to utilize his full potential as a long-term member of the Defenders squad of superheroes until he died. Meanwhile, he has since been known to have returned to life and retired willingly, but not before he had successfully trained a successor, Joaquin Pennyworth. Since Kyle's retirement, neither Kyle nor Joaquin surfaced, but a Skrull imposter masquerading as Kyle did emerge later before being revealed. And chronologically speaking, this Squadron Sinister embodiment of Nighthawk was the first to appear in print, but in later stories, a detail was revealed that changed the dynamics of the character altogether. The main purpose of Squadron Sinister was to stand against the Squadron Supreme of Alternate Earth, mentioned before after the Grandmaster's fallout with Kang the Conqueror. Kang had preferred the Avengers as his champions. In retaliation, the Grandmaster returned to his reality and caught hold of 3 men, including another Kyle Richmond. Remember us telling you that one version of Nighthawk belonged from an alternate reality? That was the Squadron Supreme member that the Grandmaster replicated into an evil counterpart. Squadron Supreme lived on multiverse world Earth 712, where the Grandmaster once laid eyes on them. It was here that he decided to make his own team of pawns mirroring the Supremes and called them Squadron Sinisters instead. Of course, Squadron Sinister's game against the Avengers resulted in Team Sinister's loss, and the story discussed above followed. What we can conclude here is that Nighthawk of the Squadron Sinister was never really the original Nighthawk when it came to the timeline of the plot. The OG Nighthawk was in fact a member of the Squadron Supreme. In another instance, when the Avengers were transported to an alternate Earth, they met the Squadron Supreme, who they believed to be their evil counterparts, Squadron Sinister. A battle was imminent, and it happened. It was not too late before the realization dawned upon both parties that they were on the same side of events. In the end, they assisted the Avengers in getting back home. Later in this line of events, Nighthawk ran for President of the United States in his role as Kyle Richmond. He won and chose to willingly retire from superhero service, being of the opinion that his role as Commander-in-Chief of the US would serve more purpose. That was a short-lived stint, because he soon joined the Supremes again on dual duty now. Another point of striking similarity between DC and Marvel with regards to Nighthawk was seen when the villain Overmind attacked their planet. The Squadron Supreme wished to rebuild the world and govern it unilaterally. Nighthawk was vehemently opposed to the idea, believing that this would paint an image of the Supremes as autocrats. The clash of ideas with his colleague Hyperion is a vague reminder of the Injustice series by DC when Superman and Batman got into an argument over a plan to defend the Earth. The conflict between Hyperion and Nighthawk advanced to full-blown combat, and Nighthawk ended up dead. This prompted Hyperion to backpedal on his plans of a takeover, acknowledging his friend's sacrifice and handing over the reins to the government again. Nighthawk was succeeded by Kyle's adoptive son, Neil Richmond. In more recent times, Kyle emerged in issue number 700 of the Avengers. An African-American superhero with a role in Squadron Supreme of America, the squad was brought together by Agent Phil Coulson. The Avengers had ascended to the international scale, and the US needed safeguarding. In the War of the Realms series, the Supremes battled Malekith, who had invaded, but they still clashed with Marvel's other superheroes very often. The list included Black Panther, who once had to go up against Nighthawk when the Pentagon was broken into, as Coulson was apparently required to be interrogated. Nighthawk, a traumatic beginning. Kyle Richmond's origin story, as per his first appearance in print, is as tragic as it gets. He was the son of businessman Arthur Richmond, the owner of Richmond Enterprises. Needless to say, Kyle grew up filthy rich, getting the best of all that was materialistic, but lacking love and affection, something that his father did not deem important enough to be given in person. That was probably why he continued his business trips even after his wife had passed away, leaving Kyle with a governess who took care of him. Kyle grew up as a child with anger issues that manifested in him throughout his school life. On his first day at the private boarding school that he was sent to, he felt alone and had a tearful breakdown. Realizing that his classmates were much less sympathetic towards him and were laughing at his sorrow, he tackled them physically. He never really stopped getting into trouble at school, as egotism and a superiority complex stemming from wealth enveloped him. A few years down the line at school, he attacked his principal, convinced that no harm would befall him thanks to his influential father. At college, he got into a relationship with Mindy Williams. On a night of drunk driving, as Mindy was riding shotgun, Kyle crashed his car. While his father used his connections and money to cover up the incident, Kyle believed Mindy to be dead. That was as far from the truth as it could be. Mindy had lived, although crippled now. Arthur sent Mindy away, and he had never really liked the girl and did not see her as a fit addition to his family's legacy. The incident did get Kyle rusticated from school. When Kyle tried to join the military, he was diagnosed with a heart murmur and stood rejected. His new fixation became training himself to increase his body proportions, sculpting his muscles, and healing from the murmur detected. It was at this point that Kyle suddenly lost his father to a plane crash. Now the sole heir to the entire wealth accrued to the Richmond family, he also took control of Richmond Enterprises. This was way out of his interest though, so he focused on his uncontrolled, spendthrift lifestyle instead. When even that got boring, he met the Grandmaster and embarked on an adventure as Nighthawk, the costume member of Squadron Sinister.
Guys, even S.H.I.E.L.D. can be hacked. I am, and always have been, Nighthawk.
Nighthawk Animated Universe. In the Avengers Assembled animated series, Anthony Ruivivar voiced Nighthawk. Very different from his avatar in comic books, Nighthawk was an alien here. His only task was to make insane tactics, and he considered his team to be nothing more than a set of tools. Nighthawk posed as S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Kyle Richmond in his self-titled episode. The Avengers finally beat him in the Squadron Supreme, and he was sent to the Vault, a high-security prison serving as the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. In his first appearance in the series, he was seen destroying his home planet, acting alongside the Squadron Supreme as always. This was in a flashback episode titled Hyperion. Adam West lent his voice to Nighthawk's character in the animated series The Superhero Squad Show. Nighthawk appeared in the episode Whom Continuity Would Destroy. Thanos and the Grandmaster had set Power Princess up against Scarlet Witch. Hyperion had to fight the Hulk, and Nighthawk had to engage in combat with Iron Man. Nighthawk. What makes him so powerful? Nighthawk's transformation from Kyle Richmond happened because of a potion made out of the genius of alchemy that gave our superhero/supervillain certain attributes far superior to his human counterparts. All these abilities would double in effect as night set in, courtesy of the serum. Physical strength was, of course, the most noticeable feature, making him a formidable opponent when it came to physical confrontations without arms. His heightened senses of hearing and sight, which enabled him to have long-distance vision with clarity, remaining constant. He could hear quite well too, perceiving sounds coming from afar much before other mortals around him could. For a short period, Nighthawk was endowed with the power to see glimpses of the future. It generally manifested as him seeing a crime being committed before it occurred in real time. Papa Hog, the sorcerer, subsequently took away this power. In terms of equipment, Nighthawk has a glorious show to put up. At one point, he had a hot plane to use for transportation, something he set aside after getting himself jet-powered artificial wings. He was also known to have gloves that sprouted razor-sharp titanium claws that could cut pretty much all the usual materials, even some metals. Nighthawk closing in. The multiverse has several regular components that appear time and again, but Kyle most recently appeared in special circumstances. The devious Mephisto created Earth TRN-852, a new artificial land that was shown in the Heroes Reborn event of 2021. In this place, the Avengers never existed, and other superheroes of the Marvel franchise never assumed powers. The Squadron Supreme of America took over instead, dictator-like attitude and violent actions on full display. When the Supremes came upon Mephisto's reality and his intentions, they helped the Avengers come through and break Mephisto's enchantment. The reality of Earth-616 was re-established, and the Squadron Supreme of America stayed in the core Marvel Universe alongside their now alienated teammate Nighthawk. In issue number 55 of the Avengers, it is probably this Nighthawk who joined the Avengers to meet the schemer Mephisto on Battlegrounds. Hopefully this will be the last time we hear or see of this monster. Coming to the most crucial point of debate, how similar is similar? Remember Joaquin Pennyworth, who Nighthawk chose as his successor? Yeah, that name is so similar to Batman's butler Alfred Pennyworth that one has to stop for a moment and consider the possibility of Marvel poking fun at DC in their own ways. What is satisfying to see is that initially what might just have been an attempt to parody on Marvel's part ended up giving those who read and watch a much loved and important character. And we certainly hope that we haven't seen the last of Squadron Supreme and Nighthawk just yet. We are thoroughly enjoying the Marvel vs. DC debacle here. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.